Jefferson wins and the Eagles were flying high to start the season 3-0. We heard Pennsylvania chants, but then Philly went 2-7 and are now last place in the NFC East. First-year head coach Doug Peterson questioned if the whole Eagles team was playing hard against the Bengals in an 18-point loss, saying this: "Not everybody." And that's the accountability that I talk about. I hold coaches accountable for that. I hold myself accountable for that because it all starts with me, and I pride myself each week to make sure the guys are ready to go. But at the same time, it comes down to it's a mentality by each individual player. Will Kane in the house. How are we doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
We are happy to have you, as always. Max, I'm going to start with you on this one. What does this say about the Eagles, what I just read to you?
They got a rookie head coach. But I think that he has a promising future, as does the team. The Eagles, until, and I bring up, Lane Johnson going down, their best offensive lineman. At the time he did, through 4 games, you know who led the league in time of possession? Time of possession. The Eagles. Huh. When they're with their and because of the tipping point on the offensive line, they had a better running game, and because of that, you had to play the run. They had a better passing game, and then he started serving his suspension. And since then, they went from first time of possession to 14th. They went from first to middle of the pack. And Peterson has shown a kind of problem with clock management and different rookie mistakes. But the late, great Emanuel Stewart, one of the greatest boxing trainers of all time and a colleague of mine for years and a good friend, he wasn't born the greatest trainer ever, right? He wasn't born that way. He made certain mistakes in his first super fight with Tommy Hearns against Sugar Ray Leonard, but he learned from them because he was a genius, and he became one of the great trainers of all time. Peterson has shown a lot of promise, but he is a rookie head coach with a problem on the offensive line, and that's all this is for the Eagles right now.
Maybe I'm just a stickler for consistency, and some say that's the characteristic of small minds, but I was sitting right over there just a moment ago. When these words came out of your mouth, Max, you said, if a team quits on you, you got to go. You said Todd Bowles' team quit on him, and he has to go. Now, granted, Todd Bowles has been in New York a lot longer than Doug Peterson has been in Philadelphia, but the news is clear that the Eagles quit on Doug Peterson. Don't take my word for it. Close Philly observers, columnists, Doug Peterson himself saying the team is not trying. When you lose 7 out of 9 games and your coach is saying you're not trying, it's pretty clear the team is quitting on you. My point, Max, isn't that Bowles should be given more leash or that Peterson should be raked over the coals, but it's kind of odd how we choose who to cut slack and who to come down hard on.
I saw
nice
promise
to have some
answer
consistency
that.
in that.
That's a good point. To answer that, I saw promise in Peterson in the beginning of this year that made me think he has maybe some special coaching talent, number one. And number two, there's a difference between quitting, which we've seen like from the Jags this year, and other teams. You see throughout the course of the year, sometimes they quit, and what the Jets did. I've never seen less effort than what the Jets put out.
That's the difference between me and you. You're busy answering because he put you on the defensive. No, you got to reverse it.
You want to tell me how to attack?
You got to reverse it.
You have like chunks taken out of you right now. You want to tell me how to attack?
You got to coordinate.
You got to coordinate. Coordinate, all right. Let me tell you, you got to reverse it, okay? You got to reverse it. Come to me, you don't know. I'm here for you. Here's the deal. What you should have done is say to him, well, you sure you consistent about everything? No matter what, you take the same position every week. Is that what you're saying? Because I need to be clear.
Some tape?
Because I got tape, Will. So I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you again. Because you just got on my man Max here. Because, you got to be some consistency.
I clarified my position. I got no problem with that.
If you said it the first time, you don't need to say it again.
Don't worry about what I do.
I'm going to worry about what you do. I'm trying to be here for you. I'm trying to be here for you.
All right. Am I consistent every time I'll answer your question directly? I'm sure you can find some inconsistencies.
So I'm just saying.
But I rarely try to make them back to back. I rarely try to make them from one segment to the next.
All right.
Here's what we learned about the Eagles, I think. And to Max's point that I so eloquently rebutted here. It's 2 things.
Eloquently. Sure.
Number one, Chip Kelly wasn't the entire problem in Philadelphia. If a team is quitting on a coach, you can't very well scapegoat the previous coach anymore. You can't look at the Eagles and say, wow, these are the remnants of what Chip Kelly left behind. Number two, I think this is interesting. Jeffrey Lurie wanted to bring in somebody with some emotional intelligence, somebody well-liked in the locker room. The Texas Longhorns, and I'm a fan of the Texas Longhorns, went through something similar to this with Charlie Strong. Very well-liked. Really good man. But what we learn here is that's not necessarily necessary to win. You don't have to be well-liked. You don't have to be popular to win. And I think maybe Chip Kelly, similar to Todd Bowles in Max's previous argument, is getting a bad rap for where Philly lands today.
I say this to you, respectfully and affectionately. You don't know what the hell you're talking about in this particular situation. First of all, you went from Mackey to Charlie Strong. You trying to tell me Charlie Strong was there because he was liked? What drug are you sniffing? Who the hell would think that Charlie Strong was more likable than Coach Mackey? Coach Mack, I'm sorry, Mac Brown. I'm sorry, Coach Mackey. Mac Brown. Are you kidding me? Mac Brown? Have you seen how nice and affable that man is? Those people were sad in Texas just to see him go because they shared a drink with one another or was on a golf course together. Very, very lovable. Charlie Strong was not lovable compared to Mac Brown.
Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Stick with Philadelphia. Don't go to Austin.
I'm going to Austin.
I saw what happened in those final weeks of Charlie Strong's job. I saw the players show out at press conferences.
Don't where, New York? Hold on, wait a minute. Don't give me the last few weeks when it comes to Mac Brown. Mac Brown, in terms of likability, Charlie Strong is not even. Well, yeah, but you said that he arrived there. He succeeded, Mac Brown, and you're saying that he'd arrived there because you know what? He's so likable. No. Well, forget all of that. I want to get to the chip.
You reversed it on me. I didn't say that Charlie Strong was more popular than Mac Brown. I said if likability led to wins, Charlie Strong would still be coach at UT.
That's not the only thing.
And likability is not working for Doug Peterson.
You implied Charlie Strong was likable, and that's not. No, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. The players that lost. Okay, I got it. Okay, let's move on. The players that lost loved him, but I want to get to the chip.
No, the players did love him. They were going to boycott the game.
Saying,
so the players
but who cares what they love? Who cares what they love?
But he's saying the point of with the Eagles. Obviously, they didn't like Chip, and maybe they like Doug Peterson. It doesn't mean they're going to win.
No, here's the issue with
y'all are unbelievable because ain't nobody hearing what I'm really trying to say. What I'm saying is, who gives a damn what the players like? Your job is to win. If you don't win, who cares? I wasn't talking about them. I'm talking about all the other stuff around it. But let me get back to Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly is the problem in Philadelphia. You know why?
Today.
Because you ready?
Yeah.
Because the players that need to be there ain't there. Deshaun Jackson's in D.C. DeMarco Murray is in Tennessee. You got to get. Listen, what I'm trying to say to you is, what wide receiver do they have outside of Jordan Matthews? Nobody. Okay, this is all Chip Kelly. This is Chip Kelly residue all over the place.
I want to address your Chip Kelly.
All over the place. That was my point.
This is where you have gone wrong, Will Kane, with Chip Kelly. Because you like the idea of an innovator, and you like the idea of people having patience with an innovator, you have become doctrinaire about it. In his case, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in Philadelphia. It's not working in San Francisco. I predict it will not work in San Francisco. They do have to rebuild the roster in Philadelphia. And in addition to that, it's just they don't have the ball long enough. The defense is gassed. You don't have the same number of rotation of players that you can just bring in, college kids you can ask to do all these things. And so they do have to rebuild based on personnel. In addition to all that, he obviously didn't communicate well enough with his players, and maybe you can learn that. That Kelly all over the place.
That wasn't my only argument.
But here's the point: I do require some consistency because you did say, I know you know where this is going now. You lost the argument, and then you just now said, who gives a damn what the players like? You can't make both arguments. Chip Kelly, if he lost the locker room, you can't also argue who cares what the players think.
No. Yes, you can, depending on what we're talking about here. For example, if you're talking about somebody being fond of you or somebody not being fond of you, that's entirely different than the problem the players were saying Chip Kelly had with them. You and I both know that. We don't need to go there today. But that's far different than, oh, you don't like you as a coach. I don't want to play for you. I don't want to play with you. That's far different than what happened. What happened in Philadelphia was a very unique situation that I don't recall ever happening to an NFL coach. That's what happened with Chip Kelly. Plus, you got to remember, he never cared about defense. He threw them to the wolves. They were on the field all the time. They were exhausted. Time of possession. In terms of, there's so many things that went into that.
I just think the end point is this. The Eagles quit on a coach they didn't like in Chip Kelly. They quit on a coach they do like in Doug Peterson. The Eagles have bigger problems than who is at the front or on the sidelines for them right now. The Eagles have deep problems if they're quitting on their team repeatedly.
They did not like Chip Kelly, but I don't recall looking at the Philadelphia Eagles and seeing a performance 10 them out to last.
And I hate to say this. I really hate to say this.
I didn't see that.
As a Giants fan, Cowboys fan, I think the Eagles are fine going forward. I think they got a good thing. I think they got a good thing going, and I think it's going to take a little time, but I'm not looking forward to the Eagles team next year.
I don't think they're done. They got a good quarterback.
Wait a minute. We saw an Eagles team last year that was exhausted. We saw Chip Kelly throw them to the wolves. That's what we saw from them as a team last year. They didn't like them, but we saw exhaustion. Last night with the Jets, Sunday with against the Bengals for the Eagles, that's quitting.
He's become a scapegoat for every problem in Philly. A team that's still quitting.
He deserves it. He deserves it. He stinks.
Yeah, both things can be true, by the way.
Quitting on your coach, obviously a concern. But there's another issue we want to get into that we didn't get to address earlier in the week. And I know you have an interesting take on this one, Will. We're looking forward to. So Steve Kerr made news last week admitting that he used medical marijuana for back pain in hopes the NBA would soften their stance, telling the Warriors Insider podcast. This, I know enough, especially over the last couple of years. Having gone through my own bout with chronic pain, I know enough about this stuff. Vicodin is not good for you. It's way worse for you than pot, especially if you're looking for a painkiller and you're talking about medical marijuana. The different strands, what they're able to do as a pain reliever. I think it's only a matter of time before the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball realize that. Now, Suns coach Earl Watson had a very different take on this subject, saying that as someone that grew up in the inner city, marijuana use can lead to trouble. Basically, our rhetoric on it has to be very careful because you have a lot of kids where I'm from that's reading this and they think marijuana use is cool. I don't know as far as the pain and how marijuana could help, but I think we have to be very careful how we present that to the public. We'll want to start with you here.
Yes.
Whose side are you on in this one?
I lean towards Earl Watson in this debate. Now, let me lay down a few bona fides because I think this debate kind of gets reduced to, are you a prude or do you like to party? Now, I have been on the record. Most people know somewhat where my political leanings are. I'm conservative, but I'm also conservative who advocated for relaxing drug laws because I think adults should be able to make bad decisions. I know I want to make a bad decision every once in a while.
I think you have. I think you undercover, but go ahead. I think you undercover.
Clearly,
I just do. I just do.
I'm not
Will got the look. Will got the look, man.
Every adult should be able to make their own decisions about themselves, and that should include some bad decisions. That being said, here's why Earl Watson is right. 2 points on this medical marijuana debate. Number one, I think the medical part of this debate is largely bogus. I think most people that are for medical marijuana are really for recreational marijuana, and they're doing this under the guise of a half-step measure. And I don't mean just individually, I mean states as well. Look at states that have gone to recreational marijuana like California, and they almost always go with some half-step measure of medical marijuana first. So I just appreciate a little honesty in the debate. If you want to legalize marijuana, as I just said that I think it should be, then say it. Don't sit here and gets hung up and try to prove your case on medical marijuana. I'm not saying it doesn't have any benefits. I just think you're hiding the ball. Number two, this is most important, why Earl Watson is right. The debate has been reduced into this point where we act like marijuana is harmless. Marijuana is not harmless. I said adults should be able to make bad decisions, but you don't get to pretend like it's not a bad decision. Marijuana in use with young people can retard brain development.
Yes.
And with adults, we've heard it anecdotally and through studies. Comedians have talked about, I've seen my friends who really like to smoke weed and somehow they disappeared from the touring circuit. It reduces ambition. I'm not saying it's direct. If you smoke marijuana once, you're done with your ambition. But we know it has negative effects.
I think it's a tough argument to make that in the arts it has a generally negative effect. But okay,
you have to recognize its negative effect.
I want
y'all to go. Take it away.
I want to deal with your points one at a time, because I think they're very good ones. In the first place, the argument that the medical argument is bogus. It's not bogus, but you and I are on the same page about that. In this sense, I've always resented the fact that it has been pushed along medical lines, because that's got nothing to do with anything. And the reason it is absolutely a half step, a half measure, is because culturally, this country has been lied to so often that culturally it's ingrained that somehow marijuana is worse than alcohol, which is obviously the standard. It is actually, by all accounts, better than alcohol societally, and even to the individual has fewer drawbacks medically, etc. So there should be no medical argument, mainly because the recreational argument should really have been what's pushed, but too many people have been conditioned that way, and others are too stupid to understand the argument, or too closed off to listen to it. So you and I, in a sense, are on the same page there. In terms of Watson's point about about the dangers of it for children. Absolutely true. It's not, even if you support the use of recreational marijuana because of alcohol laws, if that's the standard, it does have a bad effect on the teenage brain, the still developing brain. Kids are watching. That people have to pay attention to that. In addition, Mark Kleiman, the professor at UCLA and I believe now at NYU and public policy, that's right.
Okay.
He has brought up often, and he's crusades about this.
Let him get to you, Max. Don't let him get to you, Max.
No, I'm being informed.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. I appreciate it.
It's a very small percentage of alcohol users are, in fact, abusers, and the industry is aware of this, and that's to whom they are selling the product. So like 85%, some huge percentage of alcohol sales are to hardcore addicts, and the same thing will happen as weed is legalized in this country. There will be created a larger pool than currently exists of hardcore addicts for whom it becomes a problem, and that's to whom the industry will sell its product.
It sounds like, Max, we don't have any disagreement.
Yes, however, that doesn't mean Steve Kerr is wrong to say marijuana is better than Vicodin, and that others are wrong to say, and if alcohol is the standard, marijuana should be legal.
You sufficiently hydrated?
I must confess, I have to say this on national. I just have to. It's just on my soul. I have to say this. This is a beautiful moment for me. I mean, we are having a discussion about weed, and two of my white brothers are arguing about it. That has nothing to do with me. This is a beautiful moment.
I don't know if there was much of an argument.
I'm just saying, it's just a very touching moment. My brothers from other mothers, you understand, are they here on First Take with me? It has nothing to do with the brothers. You know, the argument, the discussion is about weed and its use and beyond. And I just got to sit back here and watch. I'm just very touched by this. That's number one. Number two. Here's my thing. I agree with you to some point. I do believe in some cases, not all, perhaps not most, but certainly a healthy sum. Don't give me that nonsense about medicinal purposes. We all know you just want to smoke
your medicine. You want that medicine.
Just stop it, okay? I mean, you know, and that's where Earl Watson's point on a more serious note comes into play. Because he talked about where he's from, and he's from Kansas City, Missouri. And you know the mean streets of Kansas City, Missouri. There's some spots there. I've been there on several occasions. People talk about certain areas. You know, I mean, when we talk about the inner city community, they got an inner city community. You know, white, black, and otherwise. And the fact is that there are challenges that folks from desolate circumstances have to deal with. And drugs, obviously, are a prevalent issue. And so when you talk about it in a nonchalant manner, you talk about it as if, you know, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, you do have to pay attention to the fact that there are those who will hide behind it, use it as an excuse to engage recreationally in something that has no medicinal purpose for them whatsoever. And because of that, combined with the potential effects that you articulated, it needs to be addressed and treated with the seriousness it deserves. I think what's also behind this, and neither of you have mentioned this, I recall when Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted marijuana legalized in the state of California, and everybody talked about, you know, the monetary, you know, benefits in it all. There's some money in all of this. There's a reason why people are trying to find an excuse to legalize this, because the more the more states that legalize the use of marijuana, the more you'll find a way to be able to profit from it. And I don't think we need to escape that. And people are willing to sacrifice the health, the well-being of the working man and woman out there just to get some additional tax dollars. I don't think that can be ignored.
I don't think Steve Kerr is completely wrong.
I don't think he's.
I just find more truth in Earl Watson's words, because I think if you polled the average man on the street right now or woman on the street, there's a perception that marijuana is harmless and that it's natural and that there's no ill effects and you can't be addicted to marijuana.
Right.
And Earl Watson's right to point out that's not true.
I just want to make clear, it is not harmless. It is a vice like any other. It is less harmful. I'm stating this as absolutely as I can based on all the information than alcohol. Alcohol is more harmful than marijuana.
Time out. Fine.
Period.
Fine. Last point.
Yes.
No disagreement there. But the problem is that you act like because that is the case, why not just legalize it? And I'm saying no.
That's what I'm saying.
No. Eradicate it then. Eradicate both then.
Well, no, impossible.
I know that. I know that.
No,
I know that.
But it should also be very clear, they are both vices.
Fine.
They are both
then I
not
agree.
good for you.
I agree. No dispute there.
This was a lovely little discussion.
I mean, listen, it's touching for me.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you
a
so
rare
much.
moment, you know.
I don't like you saying I got that look. I don't know what that
You
means.
do.
Like a
Undercover
well-known
brother.
individual.
Undercover brother.
Coming up next, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott have brought the Cowboys back to the forefront of the NFL, and it's showing in the Pro Bowl voting that the guys think they deserve so much love. Plus, Russell Westbrook went off again last night, putting up his 6th straight triple-double. So is it his MVP to lose? We'll debate it.